Ever felt like you've been ripped off by a mechanic? You're not alone. Thousands of people are overcharged for repairs they don't need. Sometimes it's even worse than that. In this video, I'm exposing 15 mechanic scams you need to avoid at all costs. Stick around until the end because the last scam on this list is so sneaky, it'll blow your mind. You might even be falling for it right now. Scam number 15 is the blinker fluid and other fictional parts scam. This one's almost comical, but it still happens every day across the country. Someone walks into a shop freely admitting they know nothing about cars. Before they know it, they're being charged for replacing blinker fluid, muffler bearings, or an exhaust belt, parts that literally don't exist in any vehicle ever manufactured. The defense is simple knowledge. If you're not sure about a part, just say, "Let me think about it." Step outside and do a quick Google search. Any shop willing to charge you for imaginary parts is just getting started with how they'll rip you off. Scam number 14 is the air filter replacement trick. You know how this one goes. You're sitting in the waiting room during an oil change when the mechanic walks over with what looks like a filter they just found in a coal mine. What they're not telling you is air filters are supposed to look somewhat dirty. That's literally their job, and manufacturers design them to work effectively for 15,000 to 30,000 miles depending on driving conditions. Many shops keep a deliberately filthy demonstration filter to show every customer, or they'll tap your actual filter against a surface to make it look worse than it is. You're paying $20 to $60 for something that costs $10 to $15 retail and takes 30 seconds to replace yourself. On most modern vehicles, it requires zero tools and is about as complicated as changing a TV remote battery. To check if your filter actually needs replacing, hold it up to a bright light. If light passes through most of it, it's still doing its job just fine. Scam number 13 is the free inspection trap. Let me tell you something I learned day one in this business. Free is the most expensive word in the automotive world. I've seen techs put perfectly good vehicles on lifts and come back with 1,000 plus urgent repair recommendations. The incentive structure is the problem. Many shops pay commissions based on how much service they sell from these free inspections. I suggest getting that free inspection if you want, but never approve repairs on the spot. Take their recommendations, thank them for their thoroughness, and tell them you need to check your budget. Then get a second opinion on any major items. If your car was running fine when you drove it in for that free inspection, be skeptical of suddenly discovering multiple urgent problems. Scam number 12 is windshield wiper upselling. This seems minor, but it's a pure profit center for shops. You're in for literally any service, and suddenly there's urgent concern about your dangerously worn wiper blades that could compromise visibility in an emergency situation. What they don't mention, replacing them yourself costs about 10 to 20 bucks at any auto parts store and takes approximately 60 seconds. At a shop, they'll charge you $20 to $40 for the part and another $15 to $25 for installation. The industry standard markup on wiper blades is about 300%, making them one of the highest margin items in any shop. Interestingly, many shops don't even properly check if you need wipers. They just recommend them automatically based on your vehicle's age. To check yourself, look for cracking, stiffness, or streaking when they're in use. And if you do let the shop replace them, always ask for your old wipers back. If they're not actually worn, call them out on it. Scam number 11 is cabin air filter fraud. This is my personal favorite because it's so effective. Most drivers don't even know their vehicle has a cabin air filter. This filter cleans the air coming through your ventilation system, and because it's usually hidden behind the glove box or under the dashboard, you'll never even see it unless you specifically look for it. The average shop charges $70 to $90 for a cabin filter replacement that costs about 15 to 30 bucks retail. The labor, 5 minutes on most vehicles. I've timed it. That's a markup that would make even luxury brands blush. On most vehicles, replacing this filter is ridiculously simple. Your owner's manual shows exactly where it is and how to access it. Or you can find a YouTube tutorial for your specific make and model in seconds. Unless you're driving through dust storms daily, these filters typically last 15 to 30,000 miles. And unlike engine components, a slightly dirty cabin filter has virtually no impact on vehicle performance. Scam number 10 is synthetic oil upselling. This one's clever because it sounds so reasonable when they pitch it. Who doesn't want the best for their vehicle? But here's the truth from someone who's changed more oil than I can count. While synthetic oil is technically superior to conventional oil, many vehicles simply don't need it. Synthetic oil costs roughly twice as much as conventional oil, jumping your oil change from about $30 to $40 to $70 to $90. And while synthetics do last longer, many shops still recommend changing them at the same 3,000-mile interval as conventional oil, completely negating their primary advantage. For most drivers making short trips in moderate climates, conventional oil changed at proper intervals will provide all the protection your engine needs at half the cost. If you do opt for synthetic, insist on extending your oil change interval to at least 7,500 to 10,000 miles, unless your manual states otherwise, so you're actually benefiting from what you're paying for. Alright guys, we're not even halfway through and I've already saved you hundreds in unnecessary repairs. But trust me, the scams we're about to cover are where shops make their real money. Before we get to the heavy hitters, if you're finding this information useful, do me a favor and smash that subscribe button. Hit the thumbs up too, it helps the channel and you'll get notified about future videos that could save you thousands. Let's keep going. Scam number 9 is check engine light diagnostics. This little amber light comes on and suddenly you're imagining your engine exploding on the highway. Many shops charge $75 to $150 just to connect a diagnostic scanner to your car's computer, a process that takes about 60 seconds. Then they hit you with technical jargon explaining why your vehicle needs expensive repairs. You can buy your own OBD2 scanner for $20 to $50 and read these codes yourself. Even better, most auto parts stores will scan your vehicle for free. The most common check engine light causes are minor issues like a loose gas cap, yes really, a faulty oxygen sensor, or a small vacuum leak. These repairs should cost between $0, tightening your gas cap, to maybe $300 for sensor replacements, not the thousands some shops might quote. Always get the specific error code from your check engine light. It will look something like P0301, and research it online before approving any repairs. Knowledge here translates directly to savings. Scam number 8 is the aftermarket versus OEM parts confusion. This one's all about creating fear of non-dealer parts. We only use genuine manufacturer parts. This statement is designed to sound reassuring, but it's often just justification for charging you substantially more. Original equipment manufacturer or OEM parts from dealerships typically cost 60 to 100% more than comparable aftermarket parts. Many aftermarket parts are made by the same companies that manufacture the OEM parts, just without the manufacturer's logo stamped on them. I've literally seen parts come off the same assembly line, some going into dealer-branded boxes and others into aftermarket packaging. The Magnuson-Moss Warranty Act makes it illegal for dealers to void your warranty just because you used aftermarket parts. Yet dealers routinely threaten this to scare customers into paying premium prices. For most routine replacements like brake pads, filters, and spark plugs, quality aftermarket parts perform just as well at a fraction of the cost. Save the OEM premium for electronic components and engine management systems if you're concerned. Scam number 7 is overcharged diagnostic time. This one's sneaky because you can't see the work being done. Many shops bill diagnostics at flat rates based on service manuals that estimate how long problems should take to diagnose. These estimates often don't reflect reality, especially with modern computerized diagnostics. I've seen shops charge for 2 hours of diagnostic time when they actually spent 20 minutes running a computer scan and performing basic tests. At $100 to $150 per hour, that's a substantial amount of money for work never performed. The automotive industry standard is to charge actual time for diagnostics, not flat rate time. But many shops ignore this because, well, how would you know? To protect yourself, always ask for an itemized breakdown of diagnostic time. Ask questions like, what tests were performed? And how much actual time was spent diagnosing my vehicle? Scam number 6 is the fluid flush frenzy. Transmission flush, power steering flush, brake fluid flush, coolant flush, differential fluid flush. It seems like mechanics want to flush everything except your wallet. While periodic fluid changes are legitimate maintenance, the frequency recommended by many shops dramatically exceeds manufacturer recommendations. This is pure profit padding. Most manufacturers recommend transmission fluid changes every 60,000 to 100,000 miles for normal driving, yet many shops push these services at 30,000-mile intervals. Even more problematic, shops recommend flushes instead of simple fluid changes. Flushes typically cost 2 to 3 times more, but often provide no additional benefit. In some cases, like with high-mileage transmissions, aggressive flushes may actually cause damage by dislodging debris that was harmlessly settled in the system. The profit margin on coolant flushes is particularly obscene, costing customers $150 to $200, but requiring just $10 in coolant and 15 minutes of labor. That's why it's always on the recommended service list. Check your owner's manual for the recommended maintenance schedule, not what's on the recommended services checklist from your shop. Scam number 5 is brake scare tactics. This one's incredibly effective because no one wants to risk brake failure. I wouldn't drive this car another mile with these brakes. That line has separated more people from their money than I can count. But brake pads are designed to wear down. New pads are typically 10 to 12 millimeters thick, and replacement is generally recommended when they reach 3 to 4 millimeters. Many shops will try to sell you new brakes when you just have 5 to 6 millimeters of material left, effectively doubling their brake pad sales over time. Even more profitable is convincing you to replace rotors with every pad change. While this used to be necessary, modern rotors are designed to last through multiple pad replacements, unless they're warped or damaged. So, always ask for measurements of your brake components and visual proof of any claimed issues. A reputable shop will be happy to show you the actual thickness remaining on your brake pads and the condition of your rotors. Scam number 4 is suspension and shock replacement scams. This is the one that shocked me when I first saw it. Pun intended. Your shocks are leaking and creating a dangerous driving situation. This is a goldmine because most drivers don't understand how to evaluate suspension components. Shocks and struts are expensive parts that, when combined with labor, can easily cost $800 to $1,500 to replace. Minor seepage on shocks is completely normal and doesn't indicate failure. Almost all shocks will show some signs of oil residue after years of use. This is very different from active leaking where oil is visibly dripping. The true test of shock absorbers isn't visual inspection but performance testing. If your car bounces more than 1 to 2 times after pushing down on the corner of the vehicle, then you might need new shocks. Another common tactic is recommending replacement based solely on mileage. You're at 80,000 miles, you should replace all shocks as preventative maintenance. Modern components typically last 100,000+ miles under normal conditions. Always request a demonstration of why your suspension components have failed, not just photos of leaks that might be normal seepage. Scam number 3 is phantom repairs and part replacements. This is where we cross from misleading into straight-up fraud, charging you for work that was never actually performed or parts that were never actually replaced. The most common phantom repairs include air filters, easy to charge for but not replace. Fluid changes, draining but not replacing with fresh fluid. Spark plugs, charging for 6 when only replacing 4. Parts replacements where the old part is simply cleaned and reinstalled. I've seen it happen countless times. The technician shortcuts the job, the service writer bills it as complete, and the customer has no way to verify. Your best defense is to ask for your old parts back. Legitimate shops have no problem returning replaced components, except cores that might be returned for refunds or parts containing environmentally hazardous materials. For fluid changes, check the color and clarity of your fluids before and after service. Take photos of your engine bay before service so you can verify new parts were actually installed. Scam number 2 is the while we're in there upsell. This is the automotive equivalent of since we've already opened up the patient. Your car goes in for a specific repair, but suddenly you're told about all these other components that should be replaced while we're in there. The logic sounds reasonable. If labor is already being paid to access a difficult-to-reach area, why not replace other nearby parts preemptively? But this is where many shops make their biggest profits. Timing belt replacements often trigger recommendations for water pumps, tensioners, pulleys, and seals. An $800 timing belt job can quickly balloon to $1,800 plus with these while we're in there additions. What's particularly deceptive is that many of these additional parts have significantly longer service lives than the primary repair component. You can ask critical questions like, is this additional repair necessary or preventative? What is the typical lifespan of this component? What specific evidence shows this needs replacement now? What would be the cost to replace this component separately later? Sometimes the while we're in there recommendation makes sense, like replacing a water pump during a timing belt job on certain engines, where they're practically attached to each other. But you deserve straight answers before approving the extra work. Scam number 1 is the complete engine or transmission replacement scam. This is the nuclear option of automotive repair and the most expensive hustle you'll ever encounter. When a shop recommends complete engine or transmission replacement, typically costing $4,000 to $10,000, your financial life flashes before your eyes, and they know it. The dirty secret is many catastrophic failures that seem to require full replacement can actually be fixed with much less invasive repairs. Shops make substantially more profit on replacements than repairs, creating a powerful incentive to recommend the more drastic option. I've personally seen dozens of blown transmission diagnoses that were actually just solenoid packs or sensors. $400 fixes versus $4,000 replacements. And many complete engine failures turn out to be head gaskets or timing components that cost a fraction of a new engine. Even when major components do fail, manufactured units often cost 30 to 40% less than the new units many shops automatically quote. And in some cases, used low-mileage components from salvage yards can provide reliable service at 20 to 30% the cost of new parts. The stakes are so high with these repairs that getting a second opinion isn't just recommended, it's financially irresponsible not to. Even if you have to pay another diagnostic fee when thousands of dollars are on the line, verification becomes essential. And that's a wrap. So, which mechanic scam have you experienced? Or maybe you've caught one before it happened? Drop a comment and share your story. I want to know. Before you go, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you want more, click on our other videos. You won't be disappointed. Thanks for watching.